Welcome to Dumb SEO Questions, episode 146. My chair just broke. Each week we meet to discuss the SEO questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google+. With us tonight we have Masataki Wasa. Masataki is Webmaster of wasaweb.net and also a Google top contributor on the AdSense and also the Google Plus Help community. Edwin Jonk is CEO of IDEStHost in the Netherlands. You can find Edwin at idesthost.nl. I forgot to mention Masataki is wasaweb.net, wasaweb.net. Micah Fisher-Kirshner is Senior SEO Manager for Zendesk.com in the USA. I guess you can find him at Zendesk.com. Richard Hearn can be found at redcardinal.ie. Richard deals with upper echelon sites. He's a conversion rate optimization specialist. Tim Capper is a top contributor on the Google My Business Help community. He's also CEO of Online Ownership. You can find him at onlineownership.com. He's proud to call himself an SEO, and he's also a conversion rate optimization specialist. And the best CEO in Adelaide, Australia, is Tony McCreath. You can find Tony at websiteadvantage.com.au. Our first question tonight, if I can find the right button to press, is on Alexa rankings. Gayatri Muthuswamy asks, hi friends, are Alexa rankings worthwhile or not? Okay, go ahead.
If no one's going to jump in on that one, sorry to disappoint you, but no. The way Alexa rankings work, and unless it's changed since I looked at it 20 years ago, basically people use the Alexa toolbar. Anyone that uses the Alexa toolbar, that's how your rankings are based upon. So it's not based upon anything else other than people using the Alexa toolbar to visit your site. That is it. So it's your Alexa ranking is only your ranking within the people that have ever installed an Alexa toolbar. It's not. It's not on the web. It's not in anything else. It's not to do with Google, Yahoo, Bing, anyone. It's only the people that have ever installed an Alexa toolbar, and that is how that ranking is based upon. So if 10 people who had installed an Alexa toolbar happen to come across your site, then you get, let's say, 10 points for that. So yeah, it's very, very meaningless unless for some reason you were running a campaign in Alexa or something, which I don't know if you can do, but that would be the only time it would be sort of useful information to you.
Thank you, Tim. That's a great answer. David Rosam has just joined us. David is an SEO of 10 years standing as an SEO copywriter and 30 years as a copywriter. I hope I've got that right. You can find David at writingforseo.org. Our next question is from Dave Elliott.
I was going to add something on that one, to be the devil's advocate a bit.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to be devil's advocate on the idea that all the tools we use are limited in the information they have. But I looked at the results on mine, and it kind of got the gist of what my website's about. But to prove or to show how it is a limited number of people that are using the toolbar, my real traffic is mostly from the USA, Alexa says it's all from India. So it shows that the different sort of people who are actually using the toolbar and how skewed this data can be. I would probably find a tool like SEMrush is a bit more accurate. Again, it's still rough data, but it's got more data and closer to the real thing.
Okay. Here's a Google Analytics question. I'm going to run it, even though I did send David somewhere else. Dave Elliott asked about an advanced filter or shortcut. He said he's created an awesome or blindingly obviously possibly filter to find all the referral spammers. And he doesn't want to go through the drudgery of putting it into every separate account in Google Analytics. Is there a site-wide method of adding a filter, guys?
There's an automated tool. There's an automated tool where you can just that was written by a Googler, and it uses the GA API, and you can do it site by site. You can't do it across everything, but it's very trivial. It adds in all the filters. But of course, the filters will only work. It'll only work for real traffic that's coming in, and you have to use the hosts for all the rest of the junk. If that makes sense.
And is there a URL for the tool, Richard?
I'll have to go and dig it out. I know that it was linked to by someone like Gary Illy or something like that on Google Plus, and it was written by somebody from Google. I will try and find it. And he literally put the code up on GitHub as well, so you could run it yourself.
Is it the one from Simo Ahava?
That could be it. Does it have something like a mountain background image in the background in it?
I'm just bringing it up because I remember looking at it, and yeah, it was interesting.
It was
how
one that
he automate the updating of it across sites.
Yeah, the problem with it was at the time was that whatever free API he was using, it was limited to 500 requests per day, and I had to wait a couple of days before it actually would let me in, and without causing an error. And that's why he put his code on GitHub so people could run it themselves. And it was using basically a list of spam referrers from some other source, some sort of public source. But as I said, the problem with it is that it will only work for referral spam and not for the stuff that's been automatically pinged against Google servers, I think. So.
Yeah, the stuff that's doing the I can't remember the name of it, where it's not actually coming to your website.
Yeah.
Struggles with.
Yeah, it's very annoying actually. All that stuff. I've got one site that is. Yeah, it used to get about 100 visits a day, and it's like getting 80,000 a month now, and it's just all referral spam. It's terrible.
I've posted a link to it in the comments group chat. Guess we could add it to the question.
Well, look, thank you for that, Richard and Tony. Thank you very much. Maybe I was a bit premature in closing our Google Analytics community. Okay, let's move on from that, and hopefully you can find that for us. A question from Note and Bazaar on organically ranking a site. I'm not sure if this is a sort of question that you guys want to answer, but he asks, what areas do you think are currently the most important in organically ranking a site for a particular keyword? 1, keyword in anchor text of external and internal backlinks. 2, internal link structure. Or 3, keyword density in content, title, description, alt tags, H1 tag, etc.
It's sort of odd. It's as if those are mutually exclusive. Like you've got internal link structure, which would be really important on a big site, but probably not very important at all on a small little hobby site. Keyword and anchor text, probably a lot less important than it used to be. Keyword density, meh. I would say big site number 2. Smaller site maybe number 1 as long as it's mixed well with natural type of anchor text. Number 3, I would say a lot less. Just my opinion.
And I'll go on my high horse again that there's no such thing as alt tags, they're alt attributes. Please get it right.
Okay, let's move on to the next, because this is a most interesting question. This is from Niraj Pandey, who I remember, or at least he reminded me that I remember him from the Google Webmaster forums from a while ago. He said that I'm finding some difficulties with my global.com UK website. First, I used xdefault NGB on both websites, .com and UK. It worked well for a few days, but again, it started showing the .com higher on the search engine results page than the UK page in google.co.uk. Then I realized that I should use EN instead of xdefault and updated the tag on both websites. But Google is still showing the .com website higher than the UK website for the query, the brand name, which is Cheapo Air, by the way. I am using the same for the Canada website too, and it is showing correctly in google.ca. And also on google.com for the USA. But I don't know why it is showing wrong in the UK results.
Sorry, I'm just going to check something on his .co.uk site because I didn't realize that he actually had 2 domains.
He's got about 30.
Yeah. The first thing is, I know you can't have an xdefault on 2 sites. Okay, it has to be just one site. That's the idea, is that this is the default site for anything that doesn't match. And if you put it on 2, they're not going to know which one to show. So that's the first problem, which he fixed. But even after you fix it, you've got to wait for them to crawl everything within the hreflang group for them to actually exercise that, whatever new instructions you're giving them. So it takes a bit of a while to filter through. But I'm just looking to see. Yeah, unfortunately, the little tool, Dan's little tool, unfortunately doesn't show you the xdefault value. So I just want to see what he has on his UK page. Does he have xdefault?
What is xdefault? Is that a HTTP header, or?
It's a link. It's a link node in the header. So it's hreflang. So you've got hreflang, and then you've got your language and your country, and there's also a newer value that they brought in, which is called xdefault, which basically says for everything else, send people to here. So it looks through whatever you've got in your hreflangs, and if it can't match the user and their language and their location to one of the values in your hreflang, it'll send them to the xdefault. Basically, that's what it's meant to do. He doesn't have xdefault on his UK site, as far as I can see. No, he doesn't. And I'm going to just see if he has it on his .com site. UK and US have always been a problem. Everything I've worked in internationally, it's always been. He doesn't have xdefault on his .com site either, so he must have removed this since. But UK and US has always been a bit of a problem in my experience. But it should work. I mean, if he's got his hreflang set up correctly, it should work.
It's probably
Sorry,
time needs crawling.
Yeah, I'm just sort of gazing through this just to try and see what he's doing. It's a bit weird as well because from the looks of it, he's got cheapoair.com and then he's got cheapoair.com. Oh no, that's ES-US. Okay, that's a Spanish US. You should definitely have the hreflang, the X default on his US side, I think. And then I'm not sure why his NGB site. So bear with me. Google.co.uk cheapoair. Yeah, they're definitely seeing it as two different sites. They don't seem to be seeing them as one. So there'll be something wrong with his hreflang setup, I would imagine.
Would it be worth him putting country defaults for the Spanish and French? Because at the moment, I think the fallback is always back to English on the main domain. Is that right? Because the only one that's just... Oh no, because that's English, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't really have a fallback. He should probably set X default to his US site. But it's something a little bit different, I think, with this case. I'm just trying to see what content he has on UK, US. I imagine there's something else going on here with that SERP, that it's not shown the UK site. The other thing he could, of course, do is it may be that he could move the UK site onto the .com domain and get rid of the .co.uk. He may not want to do that, but that would be one way to potentially fix this. There's something else going on here. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I know that there's going to be something obvious will turn up. But definitely, he should definitely put in the X default and set that to the US homepage.
Is it worth doing all those subdirectories? Oh.
How do you mean?
Sorry, I was hearing my own voice there. In Google Search Console, he could register all the subdirectories and then define the region. Does that help at all?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that's for geo-targeting. Yeah, that will help. I would have assumed he's already done that. He needs to also just validate. I see he's got a .ca and he's also got a .ca sort of French site. He probably wants to validate those as well and make sure that his hreflang is all set up correctly. What he could do actually with a site like this, he probably has quite a big site. He should probably sign up for something like DeepCrawl or Spotify, who will actually validate this for him and make sure that it's all set up correctly.
DeepCrawl, and what was the other one, Richard? I'm sorry.
The other one is Botify, botify.com. They're a French company, but they're doing something similar to DeepCrawl. Quite interesting also. Not terribly expensive, not cheap either, but for a bigger site, no problem to pay for.
Okay.
You'll have to add hreflang consistently on internal pages as well. So if you look at car hire flights and so on and so forth, then it's not complete, I think, if that makes sense. The list is not as complete as it is on the home page.
That shouldn't have any impact as long as you take one page and that every page it links to in the hreflang links back, reciprocates within that group. It should be fine for that particular page. And if you have subpages that aren't actually completed as well, that shouldn't impact the pages that are.
Yeah, that's true.
I've worked with a lot of sites where just due to resource issues, they can only do this batch by batch, and it doesn't seem to have an impact that other pages aren't as full or aren't as correct. As long as the group, you have to look at each as a. I'll try and say this a little bit better, but you take the home page and you look at every page that it links to in hreflang and make sure that each of those pages links equally, and then that particular page group should be fine. But if one of them doesn't, they tend to ignore it for all. That doesn't make much sense either, but
no, it does. So if you have all of the landing pages, if you like, the home pages have hreflang, then that's fine. It doesn't matter whether the internal pages have or not, because then what you have to find is that if they're equivalents of internal pages, then they have to, in a sense, if you're going to implement them, then they have to become a complete set, as it were.
Yes. As long as the set is good, that's fine. It won't affect any other page. Yeah. But if one page in the set is wrong, they can just ignore the whole lot.
Yeah, but then in that case, wouldn't he be seeing errors in Search Console and the internationalization?
He should do. Yeah, it's a very easy way to find it out, and actually, it is actually probably nearly the best tool to use for finding it out. But just some of the crawlers. The difference is that they'll show you everything. They'll sort of show you a viewpoint of your entire site. But yeah, dead right. The Search Console is the way to get this error. It'll tell them which ones aren't linking back.
Well, no. That's a much better result than I thought we could provide. I think we can call that an answer for Niraj Pandey, and I'm sure Niraj will ask us again if we haven't given enough. All right, so our next question on our list is from Billy Boyle on renaming the domain. He said, hey guys, thanks for allowing just about anyone to join this group. I have a question, and I hope it's okay to ask straight away. My website is currently at amlcandles.co.uk, and what I'm wondering is whether to rename the domain to Anne Makes Lovely Candles or Anne Makes Lovely Candles, like without hyphens, with hyphens or without. He said, I would imagine that there are arguments to both sides. With dashes, it is harder to remember, or as one word, it will not be used on the page. I'm not so sure about that. I already write it as Anne Makes Lovely Candles throughout the store, and my shopping cart makes an SEO page title of Anne-makes-lovely-candles.co.uk, but it's not my domain name. I have a quandary. What to do? I'm trying my best to make as good a job as possible to rank well and don't know which to choose.
Well, I can say that Google has noted in the past that domain names with way too many dashes are more than likely to seem to be spammy. So definitely, I would be on the side of do not, change over to have all those dashes in your domain name. Whether or not you want to move to the domain name and makes lovely candles is, up to you. Without any that has no dashes. Personally, you need to know kind of a little bit more of the background for the reason behind that. I probably personally as well leave it as is. You've built up history on it. Your Anne Makes Lovely part, the AML, is already there. You don't have to do a huge amount of, it's always a risk to essentially change your domain, and unless you've got a strong reason behind it, probably wouldn't recommend making such a switch.
there's no SEO value as far as I can see in what he suggested to change to. You won't benefit in any way. And forgetting about SEO, when Anne is invited onto the local radio show because they've heard about her lovely candles, and the host at the end says, "Can you tell us the web address again?" And she says, Anne-makes-lovely-candles.co.uk. Her business is, people are just going to be laughing at it. They're not going to remember that. If you can get annscandles.co.uk, I would go with that, or I would stick with amlcandles.co.uk. And I wouldn't worry too much about what you've got internally and whether it says Anne makes lovely candles or AML candles, or this is the wrong things to be looking at. As long as your site is sort of SEO friendly, don't go moving your domain. Not to those. If you got candles.co.uk, which you can't, it'd probably cost you about 50 grand if you could get it, but if you could get that, yeah, go for it. But otherwise, stick with what you've got.
Yeah, I'll go along with that. And the hyphen thing, someone actually said to me one day, "How do you spell hyphen?"
Well, there you go. There's another challenge. You know, I wouldn't even have thought of that, but yeah. Never use hyphenated domains. The best business in the world, you're not going to see them on a hyphenated domain. So,
did I see something from Google, some Google advice one day that hyphens are ranked lower than sites without hyphens?
No.
No.
I think you may have seen something where they may have correlated, like Mika was saying, where they may have a correlation between domains that have a large number of hyphens and spammy content, and there probably is something that they look at for that. But I don't think that they have anything in their algorithm that says, oh look, there's a hyphen or two hyphens, let's mark that site down. I'd say it's more along the lines of, if there's multiple hyphens, maybe we want to have a little bit of a quality notch down, just in case.
Okay. Well, Billy Boyle, I hope you're happy with that advice. Here's another one. Here's one from Anurag Bijal, one on city filters. He said, I have a shopping cart site where I list the products. Also, I have applied city filters as well. But on Google, if I put in a search query like metal spacer in Los Angeles, I do not find the city-specific pages ranking over normal product pages. Please offer your suggestions.
I'd like to know what he means by filter. Maybe this is some sort of faceted navigation or drop-down, what do you call it, combo box that means that Google can't crawl to these pages.
It might be that he's put a whole the same content on each geographic location, and just switch that's the only difference in the page. That might be why they're not ranking at all.
Mm-hmm.
No Earl, no help.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I keep forgetting, but I'm going to put some posting tips in our report for Mr. Yonk, so that we can keep those posting tips pinned to the top of the community. I'll try to remember. Here's one from Arithmile TP on filters in Google Analytics, and Arithmile asked a question and then followed up in the comments with another, and followed up in the comments with another. I'm going to pass on this one unless somebody wants to jump in and answer it. Arithmile started off asking what are filters in Google Analytics and the difference between include and exclude filters. Nobody wants to? Okay.
Jim, I thought your answer was good. So a way of filtering out the data before it comes into analytics. And so you've got different ways, like you mentioned, IP, ISP. And yes, predefined are basically just a couple of types of filters that they've defined that make it simpler for you to set them up. So, for example, an IP filter is predefined. It's just a simple select that, put the IP in, you've got a filter. You'd probably do an exclude of an IP, whereas you can also do custom, more complex filters, and the filters can even include altering the data.
Thank you, Tony. All right. Next on our list is from Amit Kumar on fallback pages. Don't know what a Amit is the same as me. He wants anyone tell me about fallback pages and how can I create these for my site?
Fallback pages. What? Does anyone know what he's talking about?
Well, he explains it in the comments on the question, which you can see on the panelist report. Richard, he said, okay, if I have JavaScript on my site and want it indexed, there is a technique, fallback pages, to index your JavaScript content in Google. He said, I'm also reading on the net, but he said, I read about it on the net, but I didn't understand the actual procedure.
Sorry, I'm just...
Yeah, I tried Googling it and couldn't find it. The only thing I think is escape fragments, which is...
Yeah, it's just, I would imagine what it is that it's actually just serving up, it's making sure that your server will actually serve a page to Google, that it, just like you say, it's related to that, to the fragments, that where you have an Ajax page, that there is an alternative way for Google to get at each state via URL. And if that's what he's talking about, it's probably less important now since they've gone to full render. I work in a couple of projects with this sort of stuff, and it's very tricky, very, very tricky. But literally, it's just a matter of making sure that every state within your JavaScript app is available via, every state that needs to be public is available via URL that Google can actually go to it. There's actually a lot of services now that are set up that they're basically like a proxy service that sits in front of your Ajax app, and if it gets a request from Google, it knows to serve it what is essentially like a static page rather than serving it your Ajax page. So it depends on what framework he's using, but I know that there's ones for Ember and there's ones for the various other JavaScript frameworks that are there, that you get these proxy services, but they're less important now that Google is going for full render. But it's a pain in the ass when you're dealing with this stuff to try and make sure that it all renders right, because you can't use normal crawlers to crawl your site to see is it working right. So it's a challenge.
So with the full render, you have to make sure it creates actual anchor tags in the content. The JavaScript creates them. So Google then spots them and can crawl on again.
Yeah, there's a tag in the header that you add, and they know then that what they're looking at. They know what the links are going to be like and what to do with them. So there's various ways of doing this. But like I say, I'd say this is probably one of the most advanced sort of things in SEO right now. And he's going to have a hell of a time if he's not quite sure what he's talking about here. I think he's probably digging a very large hole for himself.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the next. It's all right, I've clicked the wrong button. Here's a question from Ryan Sack, who needs more traffic. He said, I have a real estate website and need more traffic. I'm not sure how to do this. Any help would be appreciated.
Yeah, I think what he's looking for is inbound marketing is probably the best bet. Go and have a look at like inbound.org or HubSpot.com and see how they're doing it, and that's probably the best way. There's probably some good tips there, by the way, but it's just a hell of a lot of work. So be prepared. There's no easy way.
Yes, I'd say to Ryan, maybe adopt the SEO Questions community on Google Plus and keep asking questions, and we'll keep trying to help. I see a couple of good answers from the community were added, and hopefully they'll be a start. Micah Fisher-Kirshner is leaving us. Safe journey to work, mate.
Thanks. Take care.
Right. We'll see you next week. All right, moving on to the next, and it's a question from Bobby S. On updating old backlinks. He said, Bobby S. said, hi, if you have a backlink on a site such as TechCrunch that points to /items/iPhone 6, for example, but you change your URL structure to /products/iPhone 6, are you better off leaving the link on TechCrunch as is and 301 redirecting on your site to the new URL, or is it better to have TechCrunch update their link to point to your new URL? Someone mentioned that updating old backlinks can devalue them, whereas I was under the impression that having an up-to-date backlink would be more valuable than the value gained from an outdated backlink that 301 redirects. Do you lose equity when a backlink is updated as described in my example above? Please provide any relevant links to useful information on this topic if available.
I don't think he's going to get much value, and I certainly don't think if he goes to TechCrunch and says, would you mind updating that link to my new page, I'd say they're going to tell him to go forth. He's probably focusing on the wrong thing. I think any differences between the methods he's mentioned are going to be probably at most marginal. As long as the old URL redirects to the new URL, he's probably not going to make any visible difference to him. In an ideal world, maybe all your links might be direct, but the redirect probably isn't going to have much impact on it. I think he's looking at the wrong things if he's worrying about this. As long as bots and people can get to the content with the right redirect, leave it at that.
Yep. Speaking of misinformation, in that conversation, which can be seen on the SEO Questions community, he said that somebody had advised him that changing a backlink to a new URL could potentially hurt you. Anyway.
I think this is probably another sort of myth that's propagated a little bit. I think there was a point in time, and it's probably going back 3 or 4 years, where there were quite a lot of people who figured out that if they got old domains, they could redirect them and they could gain some value from Google from the links that were going to the old domain. And I think that at a point in time, what Google did was they actually started to look and say, right, if the new content we're being redirected to is from totally unrelated niche to the content that used to be on this URL, let's drop this. Or in some cases where maybe it was more egregious, they may have gone in and given people manual penalties. But I don't think that there's some chance that maybe it could hurt them from something like Penguin, but as we all know, Penguin doesn't run anymore. So I think that he's just getting a little bit mixed up, or whoever is advising him might be getting things a little bit mixed up. You have to take context. Every time you talk about these things, you have to take the context into account. And in his case, he's not going to get any sort of penalty, or nothing bad is going to happen from him changing the URL of the content and redirecting to the URL, because it's the same content. No problem.
Excellent. All right, moving on to the next, we have a question from Francesca Bandini on research about Russia. This is a question tailor-made from Tim Capper, who we all know regularly parachutes in from Russia. Francesca said on the question, she said, Google.ru and Yandex. I am doing some research about Russia. I have just started, so I was wondering if someone could help. It seems that it is not possible to rank organically in the Russian search engine results pages for the aforementioned search engines without employing a local Russian SEO firm. Is it true? Any experience? Thanks.
In effect, no, that's not true. But do you speak Russian? Can you check that the content created for your Russian sites is colloquially correct? Can you, can you research on? Can you read Russian? Can you find appropriate sites to reach out to market your content on? Can you speak Russian, in other words? So in one sense, it's wrong, but on the other side of things, it probably would make life easier in the sense of a smoother workflow.
Anybody else? Okay, Francesca, I hope that's helpful for you. Here's a question from Igor Shivakov on G+ business pages. He said, hi guys, do ratings and reviews of your G+ business page have any impact on SEO? I see Edwin Yonk gave a brilliant answer in the comments on this topic on the SEO Questions community.
Yeah, and Edwin's spot on there. It's not like going to have an impact because you get a business page, you're going to jump up 2 points in the SERPs. No, it's not going to work like that. But for branding, nothing else comes close to it. Absolutely nothing else comes close to it for your business name. So certainly for branding, reviews appear in you get your little yellow review stars. They appear in the SERPs. You can also use it in any AdWords that you're doing. By using that in your AdWords, connected to your AdWords, you can have your review stars appearing, you can have your location tab appearing, you can have maps appearing on all your ads. So in a sense, if I get a business page, will my organic, will it jump? No. But if you get a business page, will you increase your business? For sure. Will you increase your visibility? For sure. So don't think about it as impact on terms of SEO, like as in a jump in your rankings. If you're looking at SEO as the whole business, definitely.
Okay, anybody else? All right, moving on to the next Al Ray result then, who you may remember has been co-opted into do search engine optimization for a site in the Philippines, and has asked a lot of questions of us, and I'm grateful for that. He said, I've optimized this page for the keyword Jillian Tourist Inn and variants. Its location is in Puerto Princesa, Palawan, Philippines. The page is www.philbooking.com/hotels/Palawan/Jillian Tourist Inn. I've used these keywords in my content. Keyword 1 is Jillian Tourist Inn, 110 monthly searches, low competency. Keyword 2 is Jillian Tourist Inn Puerto Princesa, 20 monthly searches, low competency. And then I've used the keyword 1 as my search term in Google Philippines, and it shows on the 3rd page. Now I've used keyword 2 as my search term in Google Philippines, and it shows on the 2nd page. Both keywords have low competency, and I want my page to show page 1 or 2 by using the keyword 1 because it has a high volume of searches. Any suggestions?
I'm assuming that keyword 2 is the location of that particular hotel. I'm guessing that. I saw Tony's suggestion there, and they make sense. More content, stronger domain, better backlinks. Here's another suggestion. If he has all of his hotel properties geolocated, as in he has the geo coordinates for each hotel, he should try to have something like nearby hotels or related hotels, and interlink all his hotels so that he's got internal anchor text with the name of the hotel on it. And it's a good way of automating it, like data-driven SEO. So he should definitely try and look at his internal link structure, because I'm guessing, okay, again, that if though the second keyword is the location, the hotel name and the location, that he doesn't need to have anchor text for that second keyword, that if he has anchor text for the first keyword and the location is well defined on the page, he'll probably rank better for it. So I'm guessing he's got a lot of content, and what he should really be looking at now is internal linking as well, and seeing how he can automate that with data-driven links. So related hotels, nearby hotels, hotels in the same locale, this type of thing, and he should be looking to try and build the strongest internal linking structure he can, because he does have a challenge with this, but he should try and look at the data he has and externalize that as best he can so that he can build good internal linking structures. I work a lot with this now, and it's you'd be amazed at how many opportunities people don't realize they have to use the data they have to create a much better internal structure. I battle with some clients trying to get them to do this, and with other clients that do this, I see them getting good results.
Thank you, Richard. Anybody else want to add something to that? All right. Next is on landing page from Brett Soltella-Macchia. He said, hi, I have a landing page which doesn't seem to be showing up in the search results. I've built a range of different inbound and outbound links to this page, but it seems to be appearing nowhere. I've implemented schema markup to this page. Google detects the page when I do a search with the site operator. However, it isn't showing on the search engine results pages. Any ideas? Could this be due to the fact that the site already has a rank 1 placement for the keyword? Would Google let another landing page from the same site into the same mix? Let me know your thoughts. I've attached the landing page to this comment. I'm looking to rank this page locally.
So if you look at a site, the markup for rating and reviews are in the footer with a rather small font size. It's also on every page. I don't think Google should view this this is not how you would do schema markup for a product in the footer small.
Okay, thanks, Edwin.
Does anyone have the URL? What is the URL, or did it not come through?
It's in the
is it in Google Plus somewhere? It probably is.
Yeah.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, okay. And is that the landing page? The landing page is his home page. Oh no, sorry, I see. Okay, sorry, stupid me.
Just scroll down and you see it in the footer after the copyright statement. You see rated 4.8 out of 5 based on 900.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, it's probably not ideal. It's probably not the reason the landing page isn't ranking, I would imagine. If I had to guess, there's probably something else. Is the landing page the same as his home page? By any chance? Website design and development. No, it is a landing page. No, it's not there. Did he give the keyword he's trying to rank for now?
No.
Well, it just may be that his homepage is more relevant, and it may also be that the keyword he's trying to rank for is quite competitive, so that the subpage isn't strong enough to actually get up there. It really depends on what the results look like. And I'm not quite sure. He'd really need to give the queries that he's seeing this. Structured data. Let's just have a quick look. Else. Oh.
So is he complaining about the fact that this? Oh, or is he complaining because in the third paragraph he says, could this be due to the fact the site already has a rank 1 placement? So.
Yeah. I would definitely say as well that like I think your point about the 5 stars also, again, I don't know whether it's causing this, but it's not ideal. He is abusing rich markup a little bit. He's probably better off not having that in every page, all right. But I'm just looking to see what he's got. He's got a rating, image object, creative work. Yeah, he needs to put up the query, and then we can see. I'd say it's more. It could be a competitive query that he's trying to rank for, and that's why it's not coming up. From website design is probably the keyword he's looking for. Whatever that is, from E. I don't know. Is there a place called From? Anyone from the UK?
If I do a site query, a different URL shows up too.
I can tell you now, okay? Here, I'll tell you what it is. There is a place called From, okay? And he's trying to rank for that, and his website is the number 2 result for that. But all the other results I can see on the first page, they're all home pages. So I see one with an inner page, and he's probably trying to copy them, but there's enough competition there that Google doesn't need to show a second page from any one website. So unless he builds quite a lot of links in there, I think he's not going to get anywhere. Not organically.
Okay. Right. Let's move on to the next, and it's a question from Dave Elliott. He said, I'm not keeping up with enough SEO news at the moment. I am, however, having to travel a fair bit to get into work every morning. I am therefore listening to a lot of podcasts. Are there any decent SEO podcasts?
I don't know, Whiteboard Friday maybe, if they have a podcast, probably worth listening to. Not sure of any other ones.
I think SEMrush does some podcasts of their webinars. You'll just have to double check those.
Okay, let's move on to the next from Nebojsa Jokic. Nebojsa said, I've just noticed that categories of my website are shown in Google search engine results pages instead of permalinks. Example, instead of my-very-cool-website.com/permalink of my post, Google shows only my-very-cool-website.com category. Did I miss something? Is this the new normal look of snippets, or should I fix something? By the way, it's a WordPress website with a few plugins.
So it's I think she mentions Yoast, and Yoast has a breadcrumb switch on and off option in there. So that's more than likely what she's done. She switched it on. Might have been on by default. And there's no harm in it. Little benefit. Might as well leave it on.
And it looks like that's all we have for that answer, Nebojsa Jokic. I hope I'm getting close to pronouncing your name correctly. All right, another one from Alray Resultan. Keywords with apostrophe versus keywords without apostrophe. He said, I'm having a bit of a problem with some of these keywords with apostrophe and without. Should I include all key phrases in my page, or putting keywords such as Jonies with apostrophe S and Jonies with no apostrophe will do? Your suggestions?
I'd suggest do whatever's the correct way, if it's possessive or not. Google's reasonably clever at understanding a bit of the meaning and the grammar nowadays, so you give it the right grammar, it'll understand what you've said better.
Yeah, I more or less agree with that. I would make sure that the English is correct in the content. I don't want my readers to think I'm even more ignorant than they already do. So, yeah, I think that Google by now has worked out whether an apostrophe, well, when apostrophes can go in and not go in, and plurals and possessives and whatever. I think that's something that Google's had plenty of time to sort out. So I wouldn't riddle my content with bad grammar, with bad spellings, just for the sake of getting all the options covered. Just write good copy. around those key phrases you want, and don't mess up with grammar.
Thank you, David.
Oops.
All right.
When I do a search for Jonies without an asterisk, without that comma, it works perfectly. So I don't see any issues. The beach resort comes up, so it should work.
Okay. This one is from Bishek SEO, and it's titled "Still No Crawling." He said, "My website has not been crawled since the 26th of June 2015. He said, I've resubmitted the sitemap and robots.txt also, but there is still no crawling. Any suggestions, please help." I can answer this one. I looked it up. What happened here is that for the non-dub version, it shows in the SERPs without any description. It's because the non-dub version is showing a GoDaddy placeholder page, and I think it even says this domain is for sale or something. No, it's parked. That's right. It's parked parked by GoDaddy, but his dub version is showing it, and was crawled yesterday. But the non-dub version is just a placeholder page, and Google's marked it down. And yeah, that's the reason. The story there. He just has to update the GoDaddy name service and put an entry in for the root domain. Anybody else on that? Okay, moving on to the next. This is a hard one, guys. What is a subdomain and a subfolder? Answered very, very well by Edwin Yonk, who patiently wrote down, for example, test.example.com is a subdomain, and example.com/test is a subfolder. And I think we've done it again. We've answered all of the questions asked on the SEO Questions community in Google+, and now we move on to our weekly news roundup, where we find items of interest through the week and post them in the SEO news community on Google+. You can add your own posts too. You're more than welcome. If you post them there, we'll talk about them. This one was from a post made by Richard Hearn. He said, a seriously nice approach to keyword research with SEMrush. And the article is titled, How to Use SEMrush for Competitive Keyword Research. I had a look at this, came away with my head spinning. He used terms like VLOOKUP and SUMIF. But he's certainly gone to a great deal of trouble to methodically lay out the steps to pull down the ranking, keyword ranking from SEMrush, and shows you how to do it and see where you are missing out on your side, or keywords that you should be able to provide some content to match. Did anybody else? Well, Richard, you read this article.
Don't be put off too much. I mean, some of those, the VLOOKUP and the SUMIF, they're just Excel functions. So, they're quite. I think they're quite difficult. But you just follow the steps he gave you, and I reckon that anyone could do this, and with maybe 30 minutes work, come off with a pretty good competitive analysis of the keyword system within which you're operating. And I'd be surprised if most people didn't find a couple of opportunities that they didn't realize were there. And it's certainly a good idea to be looking at that sort of keyword competition where you're not just looking at your own keywords and where you rank, you're looking at your competitors' keywords and where they rank and looking to see where those gaps are that you can potentially leverage. And it's especially the case for sites like the sites that they use that are sort of high authority, that it's quite easy for them to rank by just putting up content they don't have. So I thought it was a really good, just a really nice little case study on how to perform that competitive keyword analysis. I'm sure SEMrush is a key component of that, because it's one tool that allows you to look at multiple sites at once. So the analysis abilities of SEMrush are sort of key to that, and it's a great tool for that. Yeah, anyone should try that. If you have SEMrush, you should try this for your own site, and I'd be pretty surprised if you actually can't make some money out of it.
Thank you, Richard. Anybody else?
And well, SEMrush has an API, so someone who's clever could write a tool to do that and go one step further.
Will you do that for me, Tony?
When I get a free day. I've actually got on my list to have a play with their API to start gathering information.
Okay, the next one is the next generation of Bing image search. I won't read out the whole title. It was posted by Edwin. It's image graph by Bing. Our data shows that 59% of images have at least one duplicate somewhere on the web. So 6 out of 10 images are duplicated somewhere else. Any comments on this one?
I like this one again. I thought this one was interesting because, if anything, it sort of shows you where search is evolving towards. I know this is about images, and you know they're obviously focusing a lot of their AI attention on figuring out what's in images. But it struck me that this was, it gave you some good background information about where things are going and how they're going to be figuring stuff out later on. They're not just going to be extracting keywords from a page. They're going to be looking at these relationships to see what's happening, and that's the way you need to be thinking with search in general. So that's my only comment on this. Worth looking at this article, I thought.
Okay. All right, our next, again posted by Edwin Yonk on content strategy. David Kucher originally shared to audience development. He said, is your content strategy focusing on creating as much long-term value as it is short-term value? Displayed as a blog post that I published in January, as you can see, it began its life with some decent traffic, much of which came about via social shares and discussion in the first week of publication. Then came the drop-off. But as you'll see, it's trending back up, fueled entirely by Google search traffic, and on its way to reaching and hopefully surpassing the original traffic generation. You can improve your website's traffic by understanding the different traffic patterns, incorporating different types of content into your content strategy, and revisiting those old posts that might be still relevant or tweaked to become more relevant, providing new or lasting value to your audiences. David Kucher, he always makes easy things sound hard.
Yeah, it's quite true. You need to be thinking in terms of that sort of evergreen content versus your topical content. I mean, most big websites, yeah, they generate traffic through topical stuff, but they probably generate much more ongoing traffic through the evergreen content they have that just ranks all the time, that always remains topical, you know? So, yeah, you got to mix it up. I'm not a content strategist. I don't work really too much in content, but yeah, you want content that's going to be bringing in traffic sort of forever if you can. The spikes are great, but the lows aren't good. Sound a bit like a junkie.
The interesting thing, this is not directly connected with this, but I think it was this week. I retweet stuff that's off of Writing for SEO that's still relevant. The stuff that isn't, I've hopefully eliminated from the retweeting idea. But someone retweeted this link and said this is really good, but it's old. And I said, well, I try to create a mixture of stuff that is evergreen and is up to the minute and perhaps doesn't have legs in the long term, and create different sorts of content. Certain things like, I can't remember what this was about. It might have been about writing calls to action on your page as part of your content and so on and so forth. That's unlikely to become irrelevant as time goes by. Whereas, we may find that having certain sorts of inbound links, maybe that being bad, will become out of date as we move on from penguins and pandas to other animals. But it's hopefully something that is good and is written well and has depth to it, will work both from an SEO point of view, i.e. ranking, as David Kutcher has been suggesting here, but also when people get there, it's going to be something that does give them value. It's not something that I hope that page doesn't have an enormous bounce rate, because when they get there, it's nothing to do with now. I think as I'm going through this waffle, I think that Jim's idea that making the simple complex is maybe something to do with being called David. Anyway, just make different sorts of content. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I say out of the mouths of babes. Actually, I think I've read your calls to action page, David Rosam, and it's good. It's about 1,300 words. Is that right?
Oh, I suspect it's not quite as long as that, but yes. One thing I have been doing recently.
Actually, if you measure it, you will find it is 1,300. It was after you decided to start writing 1,200-word articles instead of 500-word articles. Yeah,
that's indeed what I'm doing. Because a lot of the topics I cover on Writing for SEO have got bloody great big hairy sites competing with them, so I've got to do as much as I can to get some of these things ranking.
Okay, anybody else on this one? All right, our next is, I think this is one that I posted, AJ Cone on links. AJ got a bit cross about people running scared from Google, and he said that the line in question was, you shouldn't ask for links. I can't read it right now, but it was along the lines I've lost my train of thought, but anyway, it was a good article on asking for links, and just one little thing I just picked out there. He said it's a shame people are more interested in page views and drama instead of reading comprehension and critical analysis. But he did say that No, I must be getting old. I think I've lost my train of thought again. I'll fall asleep soon. Anyway, can somebody save me and make a comment on AJ Cohn's excellent analysis of why we shouldn't be running scared of Google and barking at shadows? No?
Was the argument that you can't just say don't ask for links ever, and he's saying, well, you can do that, but don't make it the only thing you ever do. Just have it as part of your mix instead of saying just don't do it. And I think he implied the Googler said never do it.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go to the next. And this was another good article from Paul McNamara in the SEM Post. And Paul made some valid points in this article. Is Google's relationship with the Webmaster community becoming fractured? He points out that since Matt Cutts has gone, while John and Gary have stepped into the breach, that John and Gary, for all their good intentions, perhaps don't have the same influence within Google as Matt Cutts did. And also the other thing that Paul pointed out was that there has been a disconnect lately, or at least announcements which appear to contradict previous announcements. And what Paul a means of disseminating information. I don't think we'll ever have the efforts that we've been lucky enough to enjoy since Google Plus started. I think Google tried this as an experiment to be more transparent, to be to give more, but I think that they got a biffing on the nose in a few places, and they probably didn't like that, and have withdrawn into their shell with only John and Gary left, willing to pop their heads up. What do you guys think?
I think they sort of answered their own question in that post. I mean, they had a picture, I think it was in that post, they had the picture of Matt Cutts sitting up with the search quality team with their bi-weekly or weekly meetings. I mean, you can't expect the guys who were sitting in Zurich to have the same amount of access and the same amount of knowledge of what's going on. So, you know, I think it was a little bit harsh, maybe, that, you know, I especially think, like, pointing out where one member of Google's team might have said this is coming in X weeks, or you can expect this then, and then blaming them when it didn't happen. I mean, you know, it's a little bit sour grapes. You know, I'm sure that these guys, the information they're giving is what they understand to be correct at the time, and things will change over time, and they're not at the heart of you know, what's going on in the US, and they're not in the same team as the engineers. I mean, these guys are the what is it they're called again? The search, they're called the Webmaster trends analysts. I mean, they're probably not even in the search team proper. They wouldn't necessarily know what the engineers are doing. I thought it was harsh, to be honest. I thought it was, yeah, like I say, a little bit bitter.
Okay. All right. Let's. If there's no other. If there's no other additions to that, we're at the thank you for watching point. If you're still watching us, thank you for that. Your interest in what we do makes what we do worthwhile. We'll be back at the same time next week to do this all again. And again, also, I'll put a link to this Hangout in the SEO Questions community on Google+. It's directly into the Hangout, but we'll be in the green room. We won't be on the air. You're more than welcome to join us, and you won't be seen publicly, but we'd love to have a chat with you. So please consider joining us. And we'll be back at the same time next week to do it again.